Everybody knows Superman and Batman and the Justice League, but when you tell them there's a character who calls himself the main man,
Hell yeah!
he's like this metal rocker, total badass. You can go to places that I think regular DC stories will not dare to go.
What is wrong with you?
Why don't I show ya?
He's an intergalactic bounty hunter. No one's gonna get in his way.
Guess we're doing this the fun way.
He just has this kind of attitude that a lot of people wish they could have in real life.
He's the natural force of chaos in all of us.
Lobo's name roughly translates to he who devours your entrails and thoroughly enjoys it. If you just read the laundry list of things he's done, wiped out his civilization, killed his children. He's a genocidal maniac. But yet we love him. Lobo in 1983, when he first appeared in the Omega Men, he was very much sort of a normal build. Well, normal for a comic book.
At the time that Louise Simonson and I did our Lobo story in Superman the Man of Steel, that was right in the heart of the sort of image boom when, in the 90s, muscles got really big.
We had been through Schwarzenegger and Stallone. I think it was natural when you had a character who you knew his personality was larger than life, that he would physically be larger than life.
I grew up with the WWF before it was WWE, and so wrestling was a huge part of my teenage years. Terminator, Rocky, infused along with over-the-top wrestling, I try to put into Lobo when I'm drawing him.
Great DC Comics characters have evolved, and they're kind of still constantly evolving. When it comes to Lobo, by the time we got to like the 80s, 90s, his evolution had gotten to a point where everyone kind of agreed, okay, this is perfect, walk away from it, don't ever try to change this character again.
So his muscles got bigger in the 90s. Superman's muscles started to get bigger, and his jaw got bigger. And around the time we got to play with Lobo, got to be an opportunity to poke fun at that dark age of comics where pectorals got helium-filled and everybody was on steroids and nobody drew feet.
The artwork for Lobo was huge for me. It was very helpful to be able to get into Lobo, is to see, such beautiful artwork.
Lobo is created by Roger Slifer and Keith Giffen.
Now where'd those assholes put my bike?
You have very limited real estate within a comic book page. And then within the comic book page are, 4, 5, 6 different panels. And so you really have to capture essential images that can tell the story, but also make each page pop out.
Bisley's work sort of vacillates between hyper-realistic, thoroughly rendered, almost very painterly stuff, and then suddenly just almost abstract cartooniness.
Instead of drawing Superman to make him look perfect, here's Lobo and it's insanity and it's got the hair and he's got the handlebar mustache and his arms are all hairy and the bike, oh, I can't wait to design that bike. If it's not clear that I'm a fan of Lobo, then let me make it clear. I'm a fan of Lobo.
When I drew the epic confrontation between Superman and Lobo in Superman Man of Steel number 30, I wanted to focus on Lobo as a sort of a rubber-faced rock and roll barbarian outlaw.
If you have a character like Superman, I mean, that's just the S, the red cape, and that's it. But with Lobo, there's a lot of little gadgets, little things that you can add, personal touches. This chain is actually something it's a pain in the ass to draw, but it's a lot of fun. Have the chain stretch right out at the camera. Knee pads, his boots, his equipment, you know, his hog, space hog. It's really long and elongated. There's a lot of different versions of it.
Everyone in this room is controlling their own Lobo.
They're all dead.
Lobo gives us the catharsis we can't give ourselves in real life without hurting somebody, just like he does for Superman.
Why are you here, Kryptonian? You got an awful big bounty on that stupid-looking head of yours.
It is pretty easy to sort of go along for the ride when they do some kind of retcon or new information about him, because almost anything is believable. You understand the choices of the characters around Lobo by seeing that sort of Lobo baseline of the terrible things he says and does. I think that's very freeing as a storyteller.
You shouldn't lie about bombs.
I didn't.
So Superman is archetypally parental, and he's a responsible, kind adult who practices impulse control. Lobo, on the other hand, doesn't give a frag about impulse control, uses his power any way he wants. The delightful thing about them is that they're both these extremes who need a little bit of each other. Lobo needs to be a little bit repressed, and Superman desperately needs to punch somebody without worrying about whether he's going to turn him into a red mist.
But you still sound like a dweeb.
What makes him a great opponent for Superman is regenerative power. Superman could literally knock his block off and he'd recover. That also makes Lobo like a cartoon character.
He's gonna keep coming until he gets you. And I think that's the biggest fear.
Boo.
Very simple, and yet he has this insanely brilliant, genius ability to concoct these weapons of mass destruction and death, and that makes him scary.
But I think that's all a product of how deceptively intelligent and calculating Lobo is.
You could have mentioned the immortality.
I like to keep people guessing.
There's a lot of characters and a lot of villains in comics and in movies that I think, well, I might do that same thing.
You should have seen the look on your face, though.
There is very little that Lobo would do that any of us do.
Wham, bam, boom.
And I think that's comforting.
Wherever he's going, he's the life of the party, even if no one's there.
Sometimes he's a good guy, and sometimes he's a bad guy. But he just walks his own path. It's a fun line to kind of dance on.
Motherfucker.
So you can do whatever the frag you want with Lobo, and it's fine.
Name's Lobo.
In Man of Tomorrow, it was really important for Lobo to be set up as an antagonist.
Nah.
Nothing more easily helps you accept someone as an antagonist than having them say and do just terrible things right out the gate.
Come on, girlie.
But you know, he's Lobo, so he can always surprise you.
Purdy, ain't it?
This Superman movie, it's actually all about Lobo. That's all that really matters, right?
All right, ladies. I gotta take a big old space dump and I don't do it no place but my own. So, smell you later.